On February 15th of this year, the Forney City Council approved a $6.7 million expenditure for renovations and expansion of Fire Station Number 2 at the request of Fire Chief Derek Briggs, 2 weeks after earmarking those funds for a library and community center instead.
So what we have decided as a group is we are going to earmark some existing unencumbered funds out of our general fund to go ahead and start the process for building a library/community center.
We need to review our financials.
After voting to kick any fire department needs down the road to make room for a library and community center, Fire Chief Briggs and other members of public safety who supported Amanda Lewis, Sarah Salgado, and Jason Roberson financially in their election pressured them into throwing that library and community center money their way instead, as they ultimately ended up doing during the February 15th City Council meeting.
I think there's some special interests that are taking a hold of some of the decisions that need to be objective decisions.
Ironically, Amanda Lewis read a prepared statement before that decision, citing the severity of the fire department needs they had just ignored 2 weeks prior.
It takes listening. Most of this is listening.
I want to let you know that after further conversations with city management, our fire chief, and first responders, it is apparent that some of the public safety elements of the bond need to be acted upon now. But I want to point out that there is a necessary action that needs to occur tonight. As we know, the location of Fire Station Number 1 in relation to the train and the lack of space in Fire Station Number 2 are major concerns. Public safety and roads goes without saying as top priorities of the residents, and we as a council is the responsible party to be the driving force to get them prioritized and completed, even ahead of the curve if necessary. Delaying this portion of the bond is sufficient as long as we have the new resources started in this interim this year. Second, the expansion of Fire Station Number 2 is satisfactory with management and should start immediately. Please note that a delay to the November ballot adds at least a year to its completion. The public safety prioritization is our responsibility and should be done sooner rather than later. It is in the best interest that there be a redesign of Fire Station Number 1, implementation of additional resources at a separate temporary location, and immediately begin work on Fire Station Number 2. I'm going to ask Chief Briggs to come to the podium at this time for some discussion, but I am first going to make a motion to revisit the design of Fire Station Number 1, add resources at a separate temporary location for the interim, and immediately begin the work necessary to expand Fire Station Number 2. The funding in my motion would be to use our current unencumbered funds.
Sarah Salgado also made a reference to how behind the city is in building fire stations, again 2 weeks after ignoring that alleged fact.
How long have we needed these things? Because you mentioned we really need to do it now because if we wait until the November bond, it's just adding another year to the timeline. How long have we really been in need of all these things? Because I kind of feel like it's all built up to where we suddenly need a lot. Mm-hmm.
Amanda Lewis also had Fire Chief Briggs speak about the needs of the fire department and explain his request for the expansion of Fire Station 2, since she had apparently just found out about the alleged dire situation the fire department was in.
Chief Briggs, would you like to address this issue that we have?
Yes, ma'am. Due to the timing of the bonding, creates a significant delay in any realized improved service delivery because of the amount of time it takes to order a fire truck, hire people, build brick and mortar buildings. I've expressed our need to find creative interim solutions sooner than later so that the bond package can proceed and we can end up with the new facilities and the resources that we need long term. There are options available for us if we partner with the district board and their existing building. We may be able to work out a way to put up some temporary housing and make that a functional fire station location on the south side. It would give us a third functional fire company much sooner than waiting on the bond to get Station 1 built.
Now, the Forney Fire Department began responding to calls out of FS2 in March of 2017, with construction being completed shortly before that, so FS2 is just under 6 years old. Also, as that decision was made by the City Council, they were also pushing for a bond election that would include an additional $45.8 million for not only 2 new fire stations, but also the same renovations they had just approved. Once the City Council voted to approve that bond for a November 8th election, They put the expansion of FS2 on hold in hopes that the citizens of Forney would approve a tax increase to pay for the expansion instead, even though they had stated in February how important it was to start on the expansion immediately and not wait until the bond election. But as more information came to light about the bond and it became evident that the $45.8 million price tag was overly inflated, the citizens began to question the legitimacy of the bond and ultimately voted against it. Remember, though, the City of Forney and the Forney Fire Department tried to use the scare tactic of their ISO rating being at risk if we didn't approve their tax rate increase. Well, fast forward just 3 short weeks after the election, and the city has now posted a RFQ for the $6.7 million renovation project to the 6-year-old FS2, almost 10 months after telling the citizens it was important to start that project immediately. This also after attempting to sell us all on the need for 2 additional fire stations proposed in the bond, and after several new examples of brand new state-of-the-art fire stations that have been constructed around DFW, Texas, and the nation for less than that $6.7 million price tag were shared around social media during the bond election.
There needs to be efficiencies in funding.
When the RFQ was posted on December 1st, I decided to check out the scope of work and couldn't believe what I read. The additions and renovations are to include the addition of a new apparatus bay, reconfiguration of existing apparatus bay, addition of training/hose tower, additional parking, relocation of equipment, extractor, SCBA, and tool room, and then get this, an indoor exercise area with sauna, relocation of decon area and bunker gear storage, renovation of outdoor patio area with cover and including privacy fence. Interior renovations will include additional bunk rooms, a captain's quarters, new restrooms, kitchen renovation, paint, and flooring, all for a less than 6-year-old building. A sauna? Really?
We need to see where the funding is going.
I guess now we know why the bond was so inflated. Fire Chief Briggs and the City Council were trying to raise our taxes, allegedly in the name of our safety, to fund new facilities with new gyms, saunas, and covered patios. Not only that, the addition of a new fire station that could easily be funded by that $6.7 million would take care of additional bays, room for additional firefighters, and lessen response times on the south side of Forney. I guess they weren't really worried about that ISO rating after all.
Biggest concern right now is the lack of transparency.
For more videos like these, subscribe to The State of Forney on YouTube and like and share The State of Forney on Facebook.